everyone, welcome back to another episode of Simplifying Life with Kashira. I'm so excited to meet our today's guest. We have Alana Stroud with us today. She is a mindset life coach and a former cybersecurity professional. Alana has transformed her career to help others break free from limiting beliefs around finances, health, and so much more. Let's quickly dive into her inspiring journey and explore some practical strategies for creating the life you truly want. Alana, it's such an honor to have you with us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yes, I'm really happy to be here. It's been really exciting waiting for this to come up.
Thank you so much. I've really been excited, and I would love to kickstart this conversation by knowing about your journey. I really would love to dive into it. Could you talk to us a bit about how you transitioned from a cybersecurity professional to a mindset life coach? I mean, what sparked your passion for mindset shift, law of attraction, and Reiki?
Well, I went into cybersecurity at a point in my life where I needed to nail down a career. I was 39 and I'd kind of been going from one thing to the next. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I have so many different interests and I've always been fascinated by people, but I knew that I needed something tangible because what I was doing at the time, COVID had just started and I knew that wasn't going to be sustainable. So I went into cyber and I was doing that for almost roughly 4 years. And my own therapy journey started 2.5 years ago when I moved to Tulsa. I still see my therapist weekly. I think that's really important. But as I was going through my own therapy for my own personal healing, I was reading this book and that book, watching this video, listening to these talks, and it really just started to transform my own life, for me, which was the goal so that I could be better. And towards the end of my cyber career, for like the last 6 months of it, I was just in a role that I loved my team, I loved the company, but I was not passionate about the work that I was doing. It's not the area of cyber that I wanted to be in. And I read some books, of course, listened to some talks, of course, and there was some talk about intrinsic motivation. And all three questions that he asked, my answers were no. And it was like, okay, well, if my answers are no to these questions about purpose and mastery and autonomy, what's my answer then? Like, what do I need to be doing? And I ended up I volunteer with Tulsa Foundation for Architecture because I really like architecture. And I came home that night and I was researching because I helped them write our tours. And I was researching a tour to go down Route 66 and I was having so much fun. That was the first time I'd been like really happy and joyous in what felt like months. And then I looked at the time and I had to go to bed because I had to get up early the next day to drive myself to my job at the office that I didn't want to go to do the work that I didn't want to do. And it just like my mood tanked. And that was kind of the pivoting point. I knew that I needed to do something that actually brought me passion and joy. And up to that point, all of the things that I had been learning from my own personal journey, this world's struggling. Like the people that are out here are beautiful people. They're lovely. They've got their own goals, their own hopes, their own dreams, their own families, their own struggles. And they don't really know how we're not taught. We're not taught how to handle these contrasts and these things that come up in our lives. We're not taught. So it started to kind of dawn on me that maybe all of these things that I've learned, just through my own personal healing journey, I could kind of turn and help others with their own mindset. And when I got into law of attraction and some of those other things, it just started to make sense. Different things started to make sense and click. And I had built up this giant network and community on LinkedIn of all these cybersecurity professionals and other people. Like it's not all cyber people, but there's like, I think I have almost 11,000 followers. Don't ask how it happened. I don't know. One day I looked at the number and I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck? And, I've got almost 4,000 connections because I love connecting with people. Author, YouTube person, whomever, I connect with everybody. I don't just follow because they're never going to know who I am if I just follow them. They're not going to see my stuff. So I was like, well, if I transition into this and maybe I take my focus on my cyber community that I already know and love because I've been in the trenches with them, I know how mentally overwhelming that industry is. And,
Mhm.
perhaps I can help them with their mindset and start getting rid of this imposter syndrome that's out here that we all suffer from so badly, which just
Yeah.
comes from a place of comparison. It comes from a place
Mhm.
of comparison and feeling not good enough.
Mhm.
And so all the things are really near and dear to me. And that's, long story short, how I got to where I am today.
You mentioned about how traumatic or exhausting it felt when you have to get up to go to a place you don't want to because somehow you don't feel connected there. In your case, it was your workplace. So, was it like it was too monotonous? Because I think this is something, a very common thing a lot of us go through. If your workplace is not that inviting, not that exciting, or whatever you are doing in your life, until I really believe that until you're doing what you're passionate about, you'll never feel that happiness, that smile on your face getting up. So, how was it in your case? Was it like too monotonous work? Was it like you felt there was nobody reciprocating the way you think? What was in your case that you felt that, oh, that's too exhausting to go back to that place?
I started 2 years into my cyber journey. I
Mm-hmm.
started chasing money instead of what brought me joy. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like this is the problem in our society today. We are
Mm-hmm.
put in this hustle and grind mindset. If you're not
Mm-hmm.
hustling and grinding, you're not doing enough, you're never going to reach your goals. And
Yeah.
hustling and grinding doesn't bring joy. That brings stress and anxiety
Yeah.
and exhaustion. And how can anybody function in their most optimal state and have productive, creative output if they feel like crap all the time, if they're not happy, if they're dragging themselves out of bed? So for me, I started going after roles that paid a lot, that I had experience in, like knowledge in, of course. I didn't just, but it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. And then I got so far down that rabbit hole of the niche in cyber that I was in, it was risk. And even that in itself, I ended up in risk and third party risk management because of my limiting beliefs. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think that I was good enough to go after that exciting part of cyber that I got into it, that brought me a lot of joy. My very first job, I was doing that. I was a SOC analyst, triaging
Mm-hmm.
alerts, like investigating, researching. I was a detective and it was great. I had a blast, but I started to feel like maybe, well, I've got this background in writing and I've got this background in communication and I've got this background in pencil pushing. So maybe I should go into PRC. So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
did, and I knew it paid well. So that's really all it is I ended up in a role that was very administrative in nature.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of regulations, it was a lot of compliance, and
Mm-hmm.
it was not fun. It was
Mm-hmm.
not fun. Now, my other coworkers, like I said, I loved my team. I loved the company itself. They spoiled us rotten. They were great to work for, but I didn't like going into the office. I like being at home with my cats, doing
Mm-hmm.
my own thing in my own. I can listen to music if I want to get up and go grab something, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's really what it was about for me. Was I realized I wasn't chasing what brought me joy. I wasn't even chasing anything that was authentic to who I
Yeah.
am. I'm a right-brained person. I'm a creative. So I can do left brain things. Obviously, cyber's a lot of left brain stuff. I'm not very techy. I'm really not. I was a teacher's assistant for a cybersecurity boot camp. And while I brought great information for knowing how to market and brand yourself on LinkedIn and GRC resources, I felt really worthless when it came to assisting the students with the technical projects that they were doing. And that didn't feel good. And when we don't feel good about stuff, when we don't feel good inside, like
Yeah.
we intrinsically want to just crawl under the table. And
Yeah.
all of the doubts creep in, all of those stories and narratives from our past start to show up, and your brain starts
Yeah.
handing you proof of why you can't do it. And that's just humanity. That's
Yeah.
neuroscience, psychology. So yeah, when I that night when I sat down and I was feeling that joy doing the things that I wanted to do, that was, like I said, that was really the catalyst where it was I need to go. And I prayed about it and I felt permission to leave my job. And I gave up a lot of money to sit here and do what I'm doing now.
Mhm.
And that was hard. That was really scary. I've had people reach out to me and, how did you do it? I would love to do that someday, someday. I really want to someday, someday, someday. Why
Yeah.
some? Why
Yeah. True. True.
so? And I get it. It's scary. Like you have to take a leap of faith. And there's people out here with
Yeah.
families that.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about mindset is I've talked with a lot of people. They're like, look, I'm desperate. I need to get this job. I've got a family and I need to get something. And it's like, but you can't solve a problem with the same energy that created it. So if you're in this situation because you're frustrated and angry and you feel depressed and locked in, you're not going to be able to
Mhm.
solve the problem with that same mindset or energy. You have to approach it
Yeah.
somewhat different. And this is kind of what I'm trying to start to instill in people is you don't have to be desperate. Being desperate isn't going to get you what you want. It's going to pigeonhole you into more things you don't want. So
Mhm.
I'll pause there because I tend to talk a lot.
No, no, it's absolutely great. And I really love what you're saying because I could resonate with a lot of things that you're saying because point of time in my life, I've gone through the same track, same path, wherein I was doing certain things, but I felt I wasn't happy enough. I felt like doing something else. For example, the moment you said that, getting up to go to a place wherein you don't feel like, I just gone back to those times in my life wherein I was like, I want to be free. I used to feel like that I want to get up and I want to soak the sunlight. I want to feel vibrant from inside out and maybe do something else. Same time, Elena, what I feel is that uh, it becomes really difficult for people to make that decision. They have their responsibilities and they have to weigh in the situation that, okay, whether I need to prioritize my passion or my happiness or to be able to put the bread on the table for family.
Right.
So,
And that is
yeah,
the key right there. People
yeah.
don't think that what brings them happiness can actually bring them money. They think
Hmm.
they have to be in some corporate job that they don't really quite enjoy
Hmm.
because it's what's putting food on the table and paying our bills. We are not,
Hmm.
as a society, as a
Hmm.
people, that our passions and our joys, that's why it's the starving artist.
Hmm.
I mean, there's all these misconceptions that you can't do the things that make you happy because you have to go do things that make you money.
Yeah.
The two can coexist if you look inside, and that's the other part of it too, is we need to know who we are. We need to understand ourselves. We need to know what makes us tick, what our limitations are, because we can't surpass our limitations if we don't know what
Hmm.
they are. So, and we're never going to be able to go do those things that actually do make us happy and bring us money if we don't know what those
Yeah.
are either. So,
Yeah.
not to interrupt you, but like you brought me to that great point is that society just does not think that we can be happy in our work. We have to be miserable at work and then we go home and then we get to be happy. Our hobbies are going to bring us joy. And you know what? Simone Stolzoff's book, The Good Enough Job, that's essentially what he talks about is your job is meant to be good enough. It's meant to put food on the
Yeah.
table. It's meant to pay
Yeah.
your bills. And then you find your
Yeah.
satisfaction and your joy with your family, your friends, your hobbies, traveling, whatever your passions are. But it doesn't have to be that way either. For many people, it can be. And if that makes you happy, that's
Mhm.
okay. Like
Yeah.
there are all kinds of scenarios out there for all kinds of different people. We're all
Yeah.
different. We all have different things. That's why
Mhm.
comparison is such garbage because we all bring uniqueness and different skills and different talents, viewpoints, perspectives, thoughts, ideas. We all bring different things. There's never going to be another you. And like I said in
Yeah.
my article that I wrote last night, like we need your ideas. We need your creativity. We need your conversations because no one else is going to have those things. But
True.
I digress.
And I think what scares people most is that your hobbies, your passion may or may not be able to give you instant money. Because I do know that how important it is to have that satisfaction that, okay, I have money coming in from some
Yeah.
source. Some point in time, we all need some or other level of materialistic satisfaction. Okay. I'm not talking about too lavish kind of a life, but then whatever is lavish for you, it's a different definition for everyone. So make sure you create that source so that you are happy that, okay, everybody's fed, I am fed, and simultaneously take out time to work on yourself. I think that can really create that balance and also allow you to keep focusing on what you love doing.
Right. And so what you described kind of sounds like when people decide to go to college. You're
Uh-huh.
not, you've decided on a career path that you want. You can't
Uh-huh.
just be like, okay, I'm a lawyer. Like there's a journey to get there. Just like when you get in your car, you can't see your destination, but you know
Yeah.
where and you're on your way. It's the same thing. So
Hmm.
if you want to do something creative, that's your passion, whether it's music or writing or art or even something like what I'm doing, um,
Hmm.
it's going to take a minute to get there, even after you make the decision. Like, I'm studying stuff and I'm learning things every day. I'm in 3 different classes right now. So I'm not just sitting around doing nothing. And I do have a
Mhm.
contract job. Before I quit, I went through my budget, meticulously added up everything that I pay for every month,
Mhm.
every little thing, like my $5 Pandora subscription, even. And it just happened to match up with my contract job. Okay, well, I don't have a bunch of extra money like I used to do this and do that, but my bills are paid. And until
Yeah.
I am bringing in the type of money that I want to from my own practice, my bills are paid. Am I making a
Mhm.
lot of money? No. I live within my means. I live below my means. Luckily, like I saw my grandparents living far above their means with 2, 3 mortgages and maxed out credit cards. And I was like, well, I don't want that. So I've managed to create a really decent life for myself that's affordable. And
Mhm.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed for that. Like I'm super humble and grateful for everything that I have. And the fact that my one little contract job can pay for that stuff while
Yeah.
I am decompressing from 4 years of just fire hose to the face in cybersecurity. It's overwhelming. Like when I say this, and it's not that it's not exciting, and it's not that it's not
Yeah.
fun.
Mhm.
Um, Cyber is amazing. The people that I've met in this industry, the things that I've been able to do, again, I'm blessed and I'm humble and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
But you have that constant level of stress poured upon you. I was listening to a talk this morning. 95% of medical problems stem from stress.
Mhm. True.
That's a
Yes.
lot. And that's because of mindset and our careers, people being pigeonholed in these things. Our families pass down these messages to us. Well, you need to go to college and get a good education. But why? Because that's what you do. But
Yeah.
why? And nobody ever has a solid answer because that's just generational knowledge. We just pass it down and pass it down and pass it down. So with my
Yeah.
own son, if you want to trim trees and that fills your heart with joy, you like being outdoors, whatever, man, whatever success looks like for you.
True.
Um, I don't care what my son does. I just want him to be happy and I want him to be able to take care of himself. And too many parents, I think, put that pressure on their kids, and then we grow up into adults, and now we're trying to figure out how we can escape our 9 to 5s because we're miserable and do those things that we love, which we honestly
Yeah.
probably should have been doing the whole time.
Yeah, and that's so important. I'm sure that's going to help out a lot of people in understanding that please do not get misled by what you see on celluloid or on a social media screen. People think that, oh my God, this person is doing some podcast, this person has got so many following, they must be doing great. A lot of misconceptions, and because of which they start demotivating themselves. And this is the reason, I was getting into depth of it so that people understand everybody is trying to make their way by doing various things, and at the end of the day, how important it is for us to prioritize here. Because if your mental health is not good, dude, you are losing a lot of it. Eventually, you will give up whatever you're doing, howsoever lucrative job or business you are in.
What you mentioned about looking around at other podcasters or the
Hmm.
comparison.
Hmm.
So one other component to that is social media does not provide an actual accurate look at anybody's lives. It just
Hmm.
doesn't.
True.
You're seeing what they want to show you. And
Hmm.
most of these people, again, this is a societal thing, are not being authentic. There's no telling who these people really are because so many are afraid to show who they really are, like in
Yeah.
that article that I wrote last night.
Hmm.
And I was really scared, actually. I was really scared to post that. And I was scared to be on this show. And I'm scared to be on the one that I'm on tomorrow because
Hmm.
I'm me. I'm me. And I've already stopped with I'm going to try to be who this person wants me to be. I'm going to try to do, look this type of way. I'm going to this, I'm going to that, because that in
Yeah.
itself is stressful. That in itself that's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort to be somebody that you aren't. And
True.
if you're just you, which is who you were created to be anyway, it's so
Yeah.
much easier. And then you can actually find those things like we've been talking about this whole time so far, what your
Hmm.
drivers are, what your passions are, what you really want to, what your purpose is, what your
Hmm.
mission driven purpose is in this world. And if you're too busy being inauthentic, you're
Hmm.
too afraid to show vulnerability because you won't be
Hmm.
accepted, you'll be ridiculed, somebody, whatever the reason is in your head.
Hmm.
um, we're doomed to a life of stress and misery and disappointments. And I don't like saying that, but that has been my experience for the
Mhm.
decades that I spent not being my authentic self, doing the things that I really wanted to do, spending time with people that I really wanted to spend time with. I never thought I was good enough to have like good-hearted friends.
Mhm.
Whenever I had friends that were awesome people that I really looked up to and cherished, I was like, why do they want to be friends with me?
Mhm.
I don't get it. Why does this amazing guy want to date me? That's so awful. That's so awful that we look at ourselves that way when there's nothing wrong with us. None of us are perfect. We're never going to be perfect. That was never the point. We're just supposed to be
Yeah,
us. And I wish
absolutely.
more people could just embrace and love themselves. This world
Yeah,
will be a
yeah,
different place.
yeah. And this is a superpower to be able to be yourself. It makes life so easy
It does.
because it allows you to break free from the shackles of societal mental conditioning and all the unnecessary burden that we put on ourselves. To be like someone, to be this, to be that. Uh,
My
yeah.
mentor told me when I first got into cyber 4 years ago, he was teaching me how to use
Uh-huh.
LinkedIn. And he was like, if you share polarizing posts, he wasn't like encouraging me to share like politics or things like that, but things that by polarizing, he meant things that would probably lose me followers because they're an opinion. They're a personal reflection of what I think and feel. He said, when you
Mm-hmm.
share polarizing posts,
Mm-hmm.
understand that you're going to lose connections. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
lose some followers, and that's okay. They're not your
Yeah.
people. Your people are out here and they will find you and they will
Mhm.
accept you. So the ones that aren't your people, don't fight that. Let them go. That way there's room for your all your people to come in. Like you don't want to have
True.
people sitting at your dinner table that don't like you, don't like the food that you made, don't like your house, just want to sit around and criticize you. They don't want to hear what you have to say. Okay, well, why don't you get up and leave? And then I'll have some friends that actually love me and how I cook and the home that I've created come sit down in your place. It's the same concept.
Let's talk
And
about law of attraction. On every different social media, so many people sharing the do's and don'ts, especially when it comes to manifestation, how to manifest this and that. So many affirmation videos are there on YouTube. I'd love to understand from you what has been your experience in law of attraction. Then maybe we can go a little further in that.
so the first training that anyone will give you, so I'm a part of the Inspired Spirit Coaching Academy, which is by Sandy
Okay.
Forster.
Okay.
Um, it's mindset. I hate to break it to everybody, but it starts with mindset. If you have
Yeah.
limited beliefs, and that's the thing, beliefs are decisions. Most of the
Mhm.
beliefs that we have are decisions that we made at some point in time that we decided that's true. And a giant portion of those were formed between the ages of birth and 7. As we're learning
Mhm.
from our parents, our family, the society, we're just a sponge. We're soaking everything in. So that's when most of our beliefs about ourselves, about the world, what we see our parents, oh, mom and dad are fighting over money again. So money must be hard to make. Money must be a bad thing. It causes problems for people.
Mhm.
And these are all
Mhm.
beliefs that we get in our head. And then we carry them through us with them. We carry them with us throughout our lives. And then when we get to a point where, hey, I've discovered this thing called law of attraction, and I can have this and I can manifest that because thoughts are things. If you take just a moment and you look
Mhm.
back over the course of your life, you'll
Mhm.
start to notice patterns. I'll
Mhm.
tell you mine. There can't be that many narcissists out here, but I
Mhm.
keep aiming to find them all and dating them. And I was like,
Mhm.
why the heck do they all keep finding? I don't want that. Okay, well, the more you focus on something that you don't want, the universe doesn't know one way or the other if it's good or bad. It doesn't know if you
Mhm.
want it or don't want it. All it knows is you're focusing on it really heavy. That must be what they want. Here you go. Here's some more of that. If you're the type of person that this always happens to me, okay, well, look back through your life and pinpoint all of those moments where that always happened to you. We think ourselves into these situations. We think
Mhm.
ourselves into experiences.
Mhm.
And like I said in one of my posts, it starts with beliefs, and then beliefs
Mhm.
create thoughts create actions
Mhm.
create, results, and then your results back up your beliefs. So
Mhm.
see, that always happens to me.
Mhm.
But you just made it happen. You just made it happen with your
Yeah.
belief. So in order to, you really have to like if you consider your brain as an operating system, you have to wipe out that old software and you have to reinstall new software, which means habits take 30 days to form, 30 days to break, typically. That's just neuroscience because you have to
Mm.
form new neural pathways in your brain. Your brain is always going to want to take those tried and true. It's like when you go into the forest, there's a clear path. I'm going to take that. That means people have traveled that before. There's an end. I'll be safe on that path. And you look over here and there's no path through those trees because maybe
Mm.
nobody's traveled it. And your brain doesn't want to go there because it's never been there before. And that's scary. It can't pull
Mm.
into the past all these experiences that you've already been through to like compare it to. The brain always wants to compare what we've been through already to give you an answer for this situation now, which also sucks because those situations back then, you were a
Mm.
completely different person. That was a completely different
Yeah.
scenario. Even if it looks kind of the same, it's absolutely not because this is a new
Mm.
person. This is a new day and age. This is a new situation, this, whatever it is. But
Mhm.
that's why people get afraid because if they are presented with something they've never done before, never experienced, don't know how to do, the brain has
Yeah.
nothing to like pull from. And
Yeah.
so, law of attraction, you really have to get your thoughts under control. We are in control of our thoughts, they do not control
Yeah.
us. And if you're just letting your thoughts run rampant all the time, well, I have to because I'm desperate, you're going to get more of the same. Well, men always leave me. The next guy is going to leave you.
Mm.
It's really, if and the other part of it, we have to feel good. We have to
Mm.
be in a high vibrational state. Like I said, we're all
Mhm.
energetic beings. We are all sharing energy. This desk is made of energy. My coffee is made of energy.
Mhm.
If we are in a low vibrational state, we're
Mhm.
only going to attract negative, like there are no negative or positive. We assign those meanings to them, but we're only going to attract
Yeah.
those things we don't want. If we're in a high vibrational state, we're happy, we're feeling good, we're going to have a ton of creativity, we're going to have a ton of ideas, we're going to be
Yeah.
joyful, we're going to feel rested. One of the guys that I follow, I took one of his classes. He said, when any of my clients ask me, I've got this really big thing that I need to do in my business, what do I do? And he's like,
Mhm.
go have a date night, go take your wife to dinner, go
Uh-huh.
grab your kids, go to Disneyland, go get your
Yeah.
dog in the car and go have a nature hike. Because
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can't, again, we can't solve our problems with the same energy that created them. So if your mindset is
True.
not in the right spot, you're not going to
Yeah.
be able to manifest the things that you actually want. And that's kind of what I've been doing the past month is, taking those courses to reset my operating system so I can obtain the things that I want
Mhm.
through law of attraction. Being on this
Mhm.
show, honestly, with you, like I feel like that's law of attraction. And again, thank you so much. The show that I'm going to be on tomorrow, like all the synchronicities, all of the coincidences, that's all law of attraction. That's just
Yeah.
stuff coming to you that you've put out there. I mean, think about it. If you go to a store and you're like, oh, that's beautiful, I'd love to have that. How long before that thing ends up in your life? Either you buy it
Mhm.
right then, or maybe later on that day, somebody's like, I've got this dress. It just doesn't fit me right. Would you like it? And it just happens to be the same thing,
Mhm.
So I've started kind of doing that. I need a massage table because now I'm doing Reiki. And my friend was like, I have one I'm not using in storage. You can just have it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That doesn't sound like much and it doesn't seem like much. But if I didn't put it
Mhm.
out there and if I just kept it to myself, I would never know. I wouldn't know that she had one in storage that she's not using and wants to just give me. So it's all about starting small too. That way you can build up your confidence, build up your belief. Because if you don't believe what you're saying, you can make all those affirmations, you can have all those morning rituals and do all the incantations. But if you don't
Yeah.
believe it, it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
say something like, money's easy to make, I'm a money magnet, and then you listen and your limiting belief will pop up. And this is how you discover what they are. That's not true. Money's really hard to make. Then that's what you
Yeah.
need to work on. My soulmate is coming to me someday. No, there's no good people left. Okay, then that's the limiting belief that I need to work on. So, and I'm not saying that
Yeah.
these are true for me. I'm just using them as examples. But
Mhm.
this is how we pinpoint where we're stuck, really, in our own heads. That way we can start telling
Yeah.
ourselves that's where the affirmations come into play. Because you're
Yeah.
retraining your brain to think and believe something new. Just change that belief, that decision you made when you were 7 that you didn't even know why you were making that decision anyway. And that's not true. Money is
Yeah.
to make. Money doesn't cause arguments. Um,
Yeah.
Money doesn't ruin lives. Like whatever sounds and feels true to you, you can't just like toss out, I'm a millionaire, because if that doesn't feel true to you, excuse
Yeah.
me, it's never going to come to pass.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll stop there
So
because I know I.
you basically have to resonate in that frequency
Yes.
to be able to believe that, and then of course start chanting or whatever ritual you think it's working for you, that will work for you because you're believing it and you are vibrating in the right frequency. I think that is something really important. So you rightly pointed out about mindset. It's all about mindset, what you're thinking, what you are putting out in the world for you. It always comes back. So it's important to be careful of what you're putting out because you will get impacted eventually. Is there anything you can, like from your experience, you can share for people who are really going through tough times, uh, who believe in law of attraction or something that, okay, you have a life and things can change for you?
I've been very, very low recently, within the
Mm-hmm,
last 2 years.
mm-hmm,
Um, I was in an abusive relationship and it was not fun. And it is, so I say that because I understand how hard it is to be that far down, that far down. It is so hard. It is so hard to pull yourself up from that. What I've found to be the easiest is once you learn, once you can start to shift your mindset, as I've been doing, I've put in a lot of work just this past month alone. And I tend to kind of gravitate, like, especially when I go out. When I'm in the house, it's much easier. When I go out in the public, I'm behind the wheel. Drivers tick me off. I get annoyed, frustrated, impatient. So those are the moments where we really need to practice mindfulness and being present. When we
mm-hmm,
are anxious, feeling guilt, feeling shame, upset, depressed, we're living in the past. If
mm-hmm,
we're anxious and worried and fretting, we're living in the future. We're not
mm-hmm,
being in the now. And a lot of people forget about gratitude. So I understand how hard it is to be that low and to be like, what do I have to be grateful for? I've actually been so low that there were points in my life that I started yelling at God and was like, I hate my house. I hate my life. I hate my career. How can I be grateful for any of these things when I feel like this?
mm-hmm.
That's part of the problem. Why? I love my house. I love my life. I love my animals. I love my job. I mean, like my career. But if you're not grateful for those things and you can't stop and be present in the moment, being present is, sorry, I'm getting my cat off my lap. Being present is the key. Because if you're not in this moment right now, this is the only moment we have.
Yeah.
Airplane crash on my house right now and I'm gone and our interview's over. I don't wish that for myself. But my point is, we're not guaranteed even
Mm-hmm.
tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we need to be in this moment. And even though this moment looks dire or feels bad, feelings aren't facts. They're just supposed to be messengers. Like, hey, I'm scared about this thing. And that's the other part of it too, is we have to really connect, going back to connecting with self and understanding self, because if you don't know why you're afraid, you can't tackle that. If you don't know why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, you can't tackle that. If you don't even know how you're feeling, you're just like, I feel bad. Well, what's bad? Is it sad? Is it depressed? Is it anxious? Is it worried?
Yeah.
Okay, fearful. Why are you fearful? What's going on there? Like, you really have to start asking yourself some questions. And a lot of
Yeah.
people get too caught up, like you said, in the victim mentality. They get addicted to that. That's a real
Mm-hmm.
thing. They
Mm-hmm.
get caught up being addicted to negative emotions because it's
Yeah.
neural pathways that the brain is most used to traveling. It's subjective. It doesn't care. You're going to feed it whatever you feed it. And then eventually it'll come around. Like when we were talking about diet before we started,
Yeah.
my body had to get used to eating plant-based food. At first, it was like, don't care for this at all. And I'm like, well, get used to it because we're not eating that anymore. This is better for us. And after a while, I love it. It tastes better. My body functions better. It's the same thing with your mind. Whatever you're feeding your mind, if it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
feel good, it's not good. If
Yeah.
one thing that I've started telling myself when negativity pops up or when I start feeling bad and I don't really know why, again, I ask myself some questions, I try to pinpoint it, and the inevitable answer is that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
I was terrified this morning to be on your show. Okay, well, Elena, why are you afraid? People might not accept what I have to say. They might think I'm full of crap. They might make fun of me. They might reject me. That's not true. It's not true. And even if it is true on some level, it doesn't
Yeah.
affect me.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect me. That doesn't make what I'm saying any less true. It doesn't make my experience invalid. It doesn't make my journey any less accurate. Um, but it's not true that I will be rejected or not accepted. Like my people, like we talked about, are already out here and they're finding me and they have found
Mhm.
me. And as I, and then we do grow out of people. A lot of people try to hang on to relationships that don't serve them anymore because, well, I've known this person for 20 years. Okay, so you've had the victim mentality for 20 years. Is that something you want to take with you as well? Like we grow out of stuff. So now
Yeah.
I'm kind of on a tangent, but really, as far as pulling yourself out of bad places, it really is
Yeah.
about what you feed your brain, and it really is about being present. If you can't be
Yeah.
present and be gracious, grateful for what you have, and in DBT they teach us to participate. Okay, I don't feel like doing anything right now. I feel like sitting here and being depressed. I'm going to get up and go take a walk.
Yeah.
And you force yourself to get up and go take a walk.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
be at home tonight. I want to wallow and I want to drink. I'm going to go out with some friends instead. I'm going to go hang out with my friend at her house and watch a movie. Like,
Mhm.
you just have to do opposite action.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not easy. It's none of this stuff's easy, but
Yeah.
all of the contrast that we face in our lives, and this is the other major, really important thing that people don't see. Every experience that we go through that we label as negative or maybe even a failure, something that's disappointing, um,
Mhm.
that's just helping us grow. That's teaching me what I do and what I don't want. That's
Yeah.
teaching me who I am. That's teaching me what boundaries I need to put in place. That's teaching me all kinds of stuff. I wouldn't be sitting here chasing after the things that I'm chasing after if I hadn't have had contrasting experience that taught me I don't like that. I
Yeah.
don't want to
Yeah.
hang out with that type of person. So if we could shift our mindset and how we look at our problems and understand that they're not problems, they're just
Mhm.
speed bumps. They're
Yeah.
just speed bumps right now. There's ways around everything. If you can't go around it, go through it, go over it, go under it. There's always a way. There's always a way.
Yeah.
But if you're not strong up here to do it and you just get mired down in all the negative emotions and
Mhm.
thoughts, you won't. So it's on
Yeah.
you. You are in control of your own life. That's law of attraction. You're in control.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's entire onus is on you. So either you keep wallowing, keep crying, and do nothing and let yourself shatter, or you've got such a beautiful world out there. You just need to push yourself out a little bit. So this is what I've seen because I've seen huge transformations in my life since the time I've started understanding the impact of energies, the impact of manifestation and positive mindset. I think this is what I mentioned. I was speaking to Anne Markey in our last podcast. This is what I told her that my journey from rags to riches, and I'm not talking about monetary journey, the state of mind,
Yeah.
because I myself come from that shitty state of mind wherein I didn't know any of these things and how I was able to pull myself out. So I understand both the ways that how your life can change and also how it feels when you are under too much of pressure and when you're going through tough times. The only thing that works is you. You have to take that decision and pull yourself. Nobody is going to come and help you in that. Nobody.
Nope.
So if you're
Actually, there is
not ready,
you.
you absolutely, absolutely. It's
Out
all you. A
themselves.
big, yeah,
Like, who's
yeah,
going to help
true,
you? You are. You are. You have the
you are
power within you.
true.
Like, you,
Yeah,
yeah. So that's why, to go all the way back to your first question, why did I want to get into helping people? This is
uh-huh.
why. All these things that we've
Yeah,
been talking about. I
yeah,
don't like seeing people suffer. I don't think any of us inherently enjoy seeing anybody suffer because we
very
know.
true.
And like, I've
How it
been
feels. Yeah.
places. I'm not sitting here saying anything to people. I did not grow up with a silver spoon. I did not come from a family with money. I have had mental health diagnoses. I have had crappy relationships. I've been through a lot. So being able to sit
Mhm,
here and say the things that I'm saying, I'm
mhm,
qualified to be able to say the
mhm,
things I'm saying. And I don't have to have some fancy degree. I don't have to
mhm.
have, a giant house on a hill. Like my experience is enough. And that's the other
Mhm.
part of it too, is people discount and disqualify their own experiences. Well, who am I to blah, blah, blah? You're you.
Yeah,
That's the question. The answer is in the question. Who am I? You're you.
exactly. Yeah,
So
yeah.
imposter syndrome. Well, I don't, you can though, because you're here. You're here.
Mhm,
You did that. And, I have a lot of people. There's one woman that I'm pretty good friends with. She was one of the students in the cybersecurity boot camp that I was a TA for. And, she likes to try to give me all the credit. And I'm like, no, all I did was be the cheerleader. Like when we have a hard time believing in ourselves and somebody else believes in us, sometimes we have to borrow their belief to get through that
Yeah.
situation. And that's all that she did was she borrowed my belief in her to get her through her situation. And she's the one who did the homework. She's the one who studied. She's the one who did the projects. She's the one who did the hard work. I just stood over here and I was like, yeah, you can do it. It was a little more extensive than that, but you get my point. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not taking credit for what you did. And on the flip side of that, there's nobody else to blame for when things don't occur. If you're not
Mhm.
getting what you want, if you don't have that job that you want, if you don't have that car that you want, you can make all the excuses in the world. I had a friend that was saying, well, my job right now is just really hard because of blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, you chose that job. You applied for it because you felt like you weren't good enough to get this job over here. So you minimized yourself and you applied for the one that you knew you could get. And now you've got this job having to do all these things. And now you're working overtime and now you're stressed out. You did that. I hate to break it to you. So if you wanted something better, you should have gone for something better. You should, like, when we get to that level of discomfort in our lives and we're feeling like unhappy, it's because it's time to level up. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean like find something to, it's time to level up. We're not meant to
Yeah.
be stagnant creatures. And if you are stagnant, nothing grows in a comfort zone. I hate to break it to you. Um, don't be afraid to level up. We're all supposed to level up. And that doesn't mean force yourself by hustling and grinding. It's like naturally feel yourself progressing to that stage and then take the next step. And yeah, it's going to be scary because again, your brain, we haven't been here before. We don't know what to do with this. What do we do with this? We do it afraid. It's okay to be afraid. Do it afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. Alana, are you at Zen in your life?
Most of the time. Most of the
Yeah.
time. I mean, we all struggle. Even the teachers and the leaders and the speakers that I listen to, they're like, look, I still struggle every day. The difference
Mhm.
is I know how to pull myself out of that state much more
Mhm.
quickly. And I know how to stay out of it for longer
Yeah.
periods of time than before because I've got my eye on the prize. I know what my goals are. I know myself. And that's the foundation.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think it all boils down to how clear you are in your head, what you want, what you're passionate about, and what frequency you vibrate in. And when you have that pristine, clear state of mind, I think everything becomes so easy. And as you rightly pointed out, that we all have our days, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But when you are aware of what you want, your target is clear, you won't live in that shit for a long time. You'll
Right.
just, you know, you can just pull yourself out of that and disconnect yourself.
And that's when
Exactly.
your really starts to accelerate when you, like you said, when you start to see your manifestations and your life changing, your energy shifting, that becomes just as addicting as victim mentality or anything can be addicting. Like, what do you want to be addicted to? Do you want to be addicted to feeling happy, feeling good? Do you want to be addicted to having a fun life? Like, I don't have any. I have a 1,500 square foot house in Tulsa. I have two cats. I'm single. I have a 25-year-old son. Like, my life is not exciting. It's not like some celebrity life, but I really do love my life. I'm content. I'm peaceful, zen, if you want to say. Not every single day. I do struggle with things because that's part of the human condition. Human
Yeah.
condition is to suffer. And once we understand what our suffering is about and what it's
Mhm.
for, that's when we can
Mhm.
have true transformation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And Alina, is there any particular routine of the day that you can advise people for somebody who is newly moving towards law of attraction and getting interested in understanding better ways of having a good mindset?
It's kind of different for everybody based on how quickly your mind is capable of changing. Some people pick it up right away. Some people struggle with it because their limiting beliefs are just so ingrained. Affirmations really help rewiring the brain. That's what they're
Mhm.
for. Not like chanting incantations. It's not a spell.
Mhm.
You're using affirmations to rewire your brain, and that's really important to keep hearing those things out loud so you can change your beliefs effectively. I like to
Yeah.
script, so I like to write out the life that I want, um,
Mhm.
live it as though I'm already in the end. In the
Mhm.
end. So if I see myself living in a certain type of house with a certain type of person with a certain type of job, I can script that out,
Mhm.
visualize it, and
And
live.
how do you script it? Do you script it in present, like you have it? How do you script it?
Yeah. So everything that we, and that's the thing with law of attraction, is everything that we want, all the desires that we have are for a
Mhm.
reason. We already have those things. They're already
Mhm.
there for us. But the
Okay.
mindset, our actions, we're blocking the receipt of those
Mhm.
things. We're in the wrong vibrational frequency. So, and I know a lot of this sounds woo woo, but it's really not. It's really
Mhm.
not. And I just implore people to try it. Try it with something small. I'm going to manifest $1 today. Maybe you'll find it on the street. Maybe somebody will give it to you. Maybe you'll find it in the sofa cushions. Who knows?
Yeah.
Try it
Yeah.
out. But getting your beliefs to match up with what you're saying and what you're
Mhm.
thinking and how you feel. How you feel is extremely important. You're not going to be able to manifest anything if you're depressed, downtrodden, angry. Um, so the things that I do, like I said, I script, I
Mhm.
do affirmations, I meditate every day because that's really important to empty your mind of thoughts for just a little while, reconnect to self.
Mhm.
Uh, I listen to a lot of talks, a lot, because it's very important to inundate your mind with the things that you want it to know. That way,
Yeah.
what's in starts coming out. And again, whatever you're feeding your mind, it's just like feeding your body, garbage in, garbage out. So the
Absolutely.
quality of what you're listening to, the quality of the people around you, um,
Mhm.
the quality of your rest, the quality of your food, all of this is very important to feeling. And if you ask anybody to break it down to its most basic, what is law of attraction at its most basic form? Feeling good, being happy. You're not
Yeah.
going to do anything you want if you don't feel good and you're not happy. End of story. End of story. And that seems to be really difficult for people to do. I get it. I get it. There's some points in my day that I find myself like rolling back, but I'm to the point now where I'm cognizant, I'm aware. I feel like, we don't believe that anymore. We don't act
Yeah.
that way anymore. That's old Elena. And to be honest, if I look around my house, I am living my dreams. They're old Elena's dreams. And this is old Elena's future. Like, but this is what I wanted. Now I've got
Mhm.
other plans, other things that I want now, but if I really look around, and I think anybody can, if you just stop for a moment and like look around your surroundings, your job, like the things, the people in your life, you are living all the
Mhm.
things that at one point in time you wanted or didn't want. It's up
Yeah.
to you to choose.
Absolutely. Yeah, it takes courage to understand what you really want and have that kind of a clarity. I really wish all the best to everybody who's going to listen to us. That I really hope you are on the journey you always aspired to be on. If not, uh, you can easily have whatever you want. Just shift your state of mind. And I think these two ladies out here, we have our own experiences. We are, we have pulled ourselves from our old Alena, old Kashira to wherever we are. And I feel very proud and happy of what I have achieved. And I'm equally happy about Alena, that how she has been able to progress in life. And I feel that if I could do it, anybody could do it, because the kind of a shattered state of mind I come from. So I just know that if I can think of it and show that courage to myself, anybody can do it. So I really wish all the best to everybody. Elena, thank you so very much. You've been so interesting. It was such a lovely discussion. We just flowed in the conversation, nothing planned, and it all came out so well. Thank you so much. I really value your time today.
Thank you so much as well. It's been fun.